a government at a crossroads is coming to grips with the sudden resignation of Freeland just hours before she was supposed to deliver a key fiscal update in the House of Commons. Let's bring back our Parliament Hill reporter, Glenn McGregor, joining us live now at this most consequential Canadian political moment. Good morning, Glenn.
Good morning, Gary.
So it was kind of a blast from Freeland's past yesterday because Donald Trump not passing up the opportunity to kind of mock her resignation.
Yeah, lots of reaction yesterday to this stunning day in Canadian politics. But Donald Trump has entered the chat, as the kids say, with a late night post on Truth Social. That's his social media site that he runs, basically blasting Freeland. I'm going to read you the tweet here. It says, "The great state of Canada is stunned as the finance minister resigns or was fired from her position by Governor Justin Trudeau. Her behavior was totally toxic and not at all conducive to making deals which are good for the very unhappy citizens of Canada. She will not be missed, !" So this is a reference to the role that Freeland played during Donald Trump's first term in the White House, in which she was kind of the lead on negotiating over trade deals, the U.S. decision to put duties on Canadian-made steel and aluminum, and then ultimately the renegotiation of the NAFTA deal, which Trump insisted on, that later produced the U.S. MCA, or CUSMA, if you prefer that acronym. But that way she was quite obviously conducive to getting deals done because she got it done there. There was a lot of speculation that when Trudeau spoke to Freeland on Friday, that the position that he was going to ask her to take on, to removing her as finance minister, he wanted her to take on the role of kind of a go-between to the U.S., a sort of a minister without a department. She would have not limited number of resources, but her role would be to be an interface with Donald Trump's incoming administration. Obviously, that was not a role she wanted to take on. So in terms of the other reaction, though, we're going to be watching really closely over the next day and days and weeks for reaction from Liberal MPs. Trudeau spoke to them last night at an emergency caucus meeting. Freeland was in the room, apparently got several standing ovations from other Liberal MPs. Trudeau apparently told the MPs that he needed some time to think, that he'd received the message. So does that mean he's going to go off over the Christmas holidays and think about his future and decide whether or not he's going to run again? Although all signs seem to be that he is still absolutely committed to running again, even though you have this increasing pressure on him from within his own party to step down. Karen.
Well, one of the most interesting lines, I think, in her letter was the part where she said that she intends to run again and stay on as an MP. Do you think she's leaving the door open here for perhaps her own future leadership bid?
Yeah, certainly Freeland has been mentioned in the past as someone who could potentially be a candidate once Justin Trudeau leaves, a candidate for leadership of the Liberal Party. Despite that warm welcome she got from the caucus last night, I'm not sure how well regarded she is by her caucus colleagues. There was some tension between other MPs and Freeland over the 9 years she was in the cabinet. But yes, it's interesting that she is staying on as the MP for Toronto, riding of University Rosedale, and intends to run again in the next election. So who knows what's going to happen then? That's a relatively safe seat in Toronto. Downtown Toronto has been historically pretty good for Liberal candidates, although it was a by-election loss in another safe Toronto seat in Parkdale High Park. That really kind of kicked in this growing mutiny within the Liberal caucus. MPs were really concerned about that, especially MPs in the GTA, which is supposed to be the Liberal Party's stronghold, and it looks like it's collapsing because they lost that riding. And we'll see about University of Rosedale when that comes around. But I think the interesting thing to watch over the next little while is how are other MPs reacting, and then look at towards into the new year when the House of Commons comes back at the end of January. What are the mechanisms that could force Trudeau out? Well, there's nothing really MPs can do to get him out as leader, but his government is very much at risk now. You had basically all the federal leaders yesterday criticizing Trudeau over this. Pierre Poilievre, of course, wants to have an election right now because his party is so high in the polls. Notably, he didn't really call on Trudeau to resign yesterday. He wants an election, and I think he wants to run against Justin Trudeau because he thinks Trudeau is so damaged. Jagmeet Singh also saying it's time for Trudeau to resign.